Conservative new media viewers, JLin fans around the world, and LA Lakers fans around the world, what is going on? Yes, we are here to talk about a victory, and that is the LA Lakers 98-91 in their rematch preseason game against the visiting Utah Jazz tonight at Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. Look, this game looked awful in the first half. Looked like we were heading to the same thing we saw in the first meeting between these two teams. And I think Utah got the lead as high as 22 points. At halftime, they were up by 16 points. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, here we go again. The Lakers picked up the defensive intensity in the second half considerably. They started getting a whole bunch of steals, and it just started to get on a run, started to get on a roll. And it just fed on itself, and they kept going, Byron Scott brought Kobe back in about midway through the fourth quarter, and they got the win, and give them credit. This is definitely a win that the team can build upon. Now, to be completely realistic here, or fair, or whatever you want to call it, Utah played a lot of their younger players heavy minutes. So they did not start Trey Burke, their starting point guard, and Derek Favors, their starting center, and Gordon Hayward, the starting small forward, only played 12 minutes apiece. So Utah kind of backed off a little bit. But still, the Lakers themselves changed the pace and the tempo and the momentum of the game with their defensive intensity. The Lakers opened up the second half on something like a 19-3 run. They just got on a roll. Utah, what happened to them? They got complacent, and they lost all their momentum. They just kind of felt like the game was already over. And once that happens, it's very difficult to regain it. And usually things like this happen, where there's an enormous shift in the game and then it stays that way. I've seen this happen a lot of times in a lot of NBA games and in other sporting events as well. Utah they lost focus. And again, credit to the Lakers, because the Lakers helped them to lose focus with their increased defensive intensity. Probably the story of the game was definitely two different halves. But if I had to pick out one other thing I would pick out in this game, is that Utah turned the ball over 29 times. If you turn the ball over 29, 30 times in a game, you're probably going to lose. There was a point in this game where Utah was shooting like 51%, but they had about 20 less field goal attempts than the Lakers did, and the Lakers were up by like 3 or 5 points. That was mostly because of turnovers. It was also because the Lakers did a good job on offensive rebounds. They got 14 offensive rebounds in this game, and that was huge. Probably the thing I liked most in this game from the Lakers' perspective was how Carlos Boozer played. 19 points, 9 boards, 6 steals, which is unbelievable. A lot of the defensive intensity came from Ronnie Price, who was all over the place, diving on the floor. He had a great steal, and then a behind-the-back pass to Wesley Johnson for a dunk in transition. It was fantastic. If Carlos Boozer can put up this kind of a game somewhat steadily, he's not going to do it every night anymore, then this team can start inching its way back to where I thought it could be. the optimism that I had before the pessimism kind of settled in last game. Now, as I mentioned in that video about the preseason game number 4, a lot of the pessimism was about Kobe. Kobe had 26 points tonight, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. He did take 22 shots. So in other words, 26 points on 22 shots, which is not great. It's not that good. But he made a lot of intelligent plays. And there were a lot of plays that he made that could have resulted in LA scores, but they didn't. And they should have. I remember he passed out to somebody on the left wing for a wide open 3 that was missed. He made a really nice pass to Carlos Boozer that Carlos Boozer should have dunked, but he missed it. A couple plays like this. So Kobe's legs still don't look that good. And again, as I mentioned last time, this is what you're going to get from him in terms of his legs. That's what I was talking about the last game. And this game, there were 2 days rest. Last game, there were 3 days rest. So he will improve during the year, but this is probably more what you're going to get. But under the right circumstances, it can be enough if the other guys can do their jobs and provide enough support. Carlos Boozer can play like this, big help. Wesley Johnson can make some timely contributions with steals and fast break dunks, big help. Julius Randle, 8 points, 5 boards. Ed Davis, 8 points, 3 boards. So this is somewhat of a formula for what this team's going to need to do. And again, of course, the team is missing JLin, Steve Nash, Nick Young, Jordan Clarkson, Ryan Kelly, and one other person I'm forgetting right now. So they're down a whole bunch of guys. They're down 6 guys, and a number of those guys are very important. Xavier Henry is the other person I'm forgetting. Several of those guys are really key for scoring. Xavier, Nick Young, Steve Nash is shooting, Jeremy's shooting and passing. So they're not going out there full strength themselves. This is, like I said, this was an important win. The team was 1-3 in the preseason. Heading in this game, they looked terrible in the last 3 games. They gotten blown out in all 3 of them. And Byron Scott went for the win, and I'm glad he went for the win. You got to build some momentum with this group. If you watch this game, the team was just lost in the first half. They looked demoralized. They were confused. It was all over the place. And Utah was doing anything they wanted on both ends of the court. But because they didn't give up, and because of the defensive hustle of the team and several individual players, that's how you can get this type of a result. Like I said, I'll take it. Yeah, Utah had some guys resting. Well, the Lakers were missing 6 guys too. So that's kind of what you get. The crowd loved it. The crowd was chanting MVP for Kobe late when Kobe was shooting free throws. It was just a great win. This is exactly what we needed. And I am glad, as I said on Twitter earlier tonight, I'm glad that Jeremy sat out the game. Because even though it is important to build momentum and build chemistry and et cetera for the team, if guys are hurt in the preseason, let them rest. The real thing is the regular season. That's where it's really important, and that's where you need guys around. So don't push guys in the preseason if they're not ready to play. And I'm glad Jeremy took this game off. Hopefully he'll be ready for Tuesday's game. And hopefully Jordan Clarkson will also be ready for Tuesday's game. Now, if you didn't hear earlier, unfortunately, Ryan Kelly had a very similar thing happen to him that just happened to JLin, which is, I believe, Kelly was out with a strain of one of his hamstrings, and then he hurt the other one. which is what Jeremy did with his ankles. He had a sprain in one of them, and then he sprained the other one. So there's so many injuries going on for this team. It's a lot of people last year thought it was because of Mike D'Antoni and his style, fast tempo. But it's like, well, unfortunately, the team's still getting injuries, and Mike D'Antoni's not around anymore. So it's kind of like, well, what's going on? It almost feels like a curse or something like this. Hopefully this will pass. And hopefully Xavier Henry resting his knee and going over to Germany and getting a procedure done, which I think is a similar or the same procedure that Kobe got done on his knee. Hopefully that'll help. And Xavier Henry is an athletic, explosive guy who can score. If the team doesn't have him this year, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt a lot. It's going to hurt that second unit. So I really hope he's able to come back. The upcoming game on Tuesday is against the Phoenix Suns, and it'll take place in Honda Center, which is in Anaheim again. As I mentioned in the last video, a lot of times the team will travel around in the preseason. Many teams do this to work on various parts of their fan base and let those guys see the team too. As I said, hopefully Jordan Clarkson and Jeremy will be back for that game. That would be great, just to kind of get some guys actually coming back rather than more guys going to the injury list. I'm trying to think of what else about this game. I mean, that was the overall thing. The team kept fighting. They didn't give up. And Utah gave them an opportunity, and they took it. And you got to give them credit for that. If this team isn't going to have the most talent in the world, if they're going to be deficient in certain respects, if they're not the best shooting team in the world, if have some guys with a lot of talent that are a little too young right now, like Randall and Clarkson may be, then you got to make it up in other ways. You've got to find ways to kind of scratch out victories, and that's what they did tonight. Like I said, I mean, you never turned a blind eye on a win, no matter how you can get it. So I guess that's pretty much it. Again, I said I repeated what I saw with Kobe. I still think his legs are what they are now. Maybe that'll get better during the year, but again, he will wear down during the year. If I remember correctly, when watching Michael Jordan when he played with the Washington Wizards, what I think happened to him was he played pretty well for the first half of the year. And then in the second half of the year, he'd fade more. That's what I think is going to happen more with Kobe. Hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully with the minutes restrictions and just his getting more used to playing NBA games, maybe it'll get better and better. I hope so. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But if he can play like this, even if it's not as efficient as how he used to be able to play, he can still produce. And if he's getting enough support around the team, then hopefully that can lead to some wins. I still, like I said, I'm more optimistic tonight than I was after the last game. I still don't have the level of optimism that I had before because, again, I do think Kobe's reduced physically, and he's the linchpin. He's the key to the whole thing. But if the other guys can come back, and if the team is capable of really staying somewhat healthy, then maybe it can still happen. Maybe it can still happen if they can just kind of find that magic ingredient and just kind of get a spark like they did tonight. That's why this one is so important. They found something tonight. And throughout this entire preseason, particularly the last 3 games, or the last 3.5 games, including tonight, they didn't have anything. They just looked confused and directionless. They found something tonight. And it's what Coach Scott has said. If you play defense every night, you can win games because the offense will come and go. Some nights you're just going to miss shots, but you can play defense and you can control that every single night. So if you play defense, you get rebounds, you can win. And good for them. They were able to do that tonight. Okay, that is about it. Let me thank again Gary Chen for the artwork you are looking at right now. We'll put information for Gary in the video description below the video player so you can go and learn more about him. He is an artist and blogger in Taiwan. He's very popular over there, and you can partly see why that is with his talent in the artistic field. Also, we will put information for video highlights of this game in the video description below the video player as well. We encourage you to come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, which has over 3,500 members. We also encourage you to come and follow us on our CNM JLin Vids Twitter account. You'll find information for both of those things in the video description also. Thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. What did you see in this game? Did you see what I saw? Am I missing something? Were you encouraged by this game? How do you think the team's going to do? Does this give you a lot more hope? Do you think this is a fluke? What do you think about it? You tell me. Thank you for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 JLin YouTube fan channel. Once again, I am Paul Fideriel, PFE, the NBA expert. It is 12:28 p.m. on Monday, October 20th, 2014, here on the East Coast of the United States, which means it is 9:28 p.m. on Sunday, October 19th, on the West Coast of the United States. It is 12:28 p.m. on Monday, October 20th, in Taipei, Taiwan, Manila, the Philippines, and in China. One final thing also. Letitia, what am I saying? Letitia, I don't know why I said that. I don't know what that is. I don't even know anybody named Lucretia personally. I might know the name. Letitia, you left me a message. I can't reply to you directly. I don't know if I think when people leave stuff for me on mobile phones or whatever, I can't reply to it. Like YouTube doesn't give you the option to reply directly. So hopefully I tried to reply to you in the comments. Hopefully you saw it. For a whole bunch of other people, I'm sorry I did not get a chance to reply to a bunch of comments individually. I was just wiped out after doing the double vids the last time. But, I read everything. I read all the comments, pretty much every single comment. So if you leave me a comment, I will see it. And, if I thumb up the comment, then you can be sure that I've seen it. So even if I don't get to respond to everybody, I'm seeing everything that everybody says to me. And of course, the easiest way to get to me is come and hit me up on Twitter. Come and check out our Twitter, and that's the easiest way to find me probably on the internet these days. I'm probably on Twitter even more than I'm on Real GM, which I used to be on all the time, but I'm not on quite as much now. I'm more on Twitter. That is it. Excellent win for the team. I'm glad that Jeremy wasn't needed tonight in the sense that the team was able to get a victory and they didn't need him to do it, so he was able to rest up, as was Steve Nash and the rest of the guys. I love the way Ronnie Price played. There will be people saying, well, Ronnie Price should start. I'm not even worried about that. I'm not thinking about that. That doesn't matter. I think Ronnie Price has a very good chance of making the team. I think he really earned it tonight. And I'm happy for him. He seems, like I said, he seems like a great guy from everything I've heard about him. That's it. Good win. Lakers win. Lakers win. Woo! That is it. We will talk to you again soon. Take care until then.